Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's a nice day out. Can't complain. There are a lot of interesting headlines today. One has been building for a long time. And it comes to mind because I saw the Boy Scouts, selling cookies or whatever it is they sell this time of the year. And then I saw a story in the Washington Post in which there's a $1 billion settlement by the Boy Scouts for abusing those who were in their trust, the children. Now, I was a Boy Scout, and I remember going on a jamboree, and they took aside some of the kids, and they were running them naked through a tent. And I left the campsite and wandered around until it was time for an event. And I was never fiddled, if you will, but it made me a little sick in my stomach, and I never told my parents about it. In fact, I haven't talked about it publicly. So it gives me a sour taste in my mouth to find out that this was systemic in the Boy Scouts. Oh, how does this happen? And then we have the priests. And when I was in high school, there were stories, but many years later, it turns out there was actually a prosecution and investigation of the headmaster of the school, Fordham Prep, that I went to. And then, of course, we have the Olympic advisor, Nasser, who is taking advantage of these younger people in his charge to give them good advice. What is it about the betrayal of trust in America that someone would satisfy this urge, taking advantage of another person in their charge? So the Boy Scouts are being chased, the priests are being chased, and Nasser's being chased, and those who covered up are being chased. And No Jacket Jordan himself is implicated in one of these things, and I don't know the details, but basically they say he knew about it and didn't do anything about it. So that's number one on our hit parade. What kind of sorry people we have in America put in positions of trust that betray that trust by harming children who have to live with that when they become adults. Now let's keep it up with the priests. There are stories today, because this has been an ongoing conflict. Can a priest deny communion to Biden or any politician because they support, in the civil context, the right of privacy for an individual to have an abortion? I say no for a variety of reasons. In many cases, and Tim Kaine, I think, is one of them, people treat their public function as just that. If they pass a law that is contrary to their religion, it's because it's a law that applies to everybody who is not of their religion. And I think abortion is one of those issues. Now, I've long passed the point myself, as a registered Roman Catholic as a kid, to think that the religious fiction of a fecundated ovum as a person is not something you can enforce on other people who don't share that religion. And that the medical sense which undergirds Roe v. Wade is the right way to go. So the Pope has been encouraging, by signaling, they never say directly, by signaling that you should be a pastor and not, I guess, a politician. Now, in Washington, D.C., the cardinal has basically said, I'm not going to deny communion to Biden. Now, let's think about that a second. Does that mean a woman who had an abortion, who goes to Mass, cannot receive communion? And how do you know that? If she doesn't tell you she gets communion, it's just the wrong thing. Let he who is without the first dart, let he who is without sin. There are all these expressions that say, judge not lest you be judged. And that's what some want to do. And it appears to be not religious, political. But we've seen this drift in terms of, especially the Christian religions, toward political activity, even as they shield themselves by tax loopholes and benefits that allow them to have some multiple effect. So I think that, I don't care if I have communion or not. I don't need communion. What I believe to be a good person has nothing to do with a church, which in my opinion has been flawed greatly over my lifetime, realizing what they've been doing and what they continue to do. Now, in the context of complaints, I've swum with the dolphins, perhaps you have too. In the Faroe Islands, they killed 1,500 dolphins. Now, I'm upset at the killing of dolphins, period, but 1,500 dolphins, white-sided dolphins, is more than have ever been killed in this management, if you will, of resources that is actually eaten by the people. What I'm saying is they killed so many dolphins, they have no way to use them, and they have no way to dispense them to others, and so they're going to waste some of the dolphins they kill. That's just wrong. Let's see, another thing that I think is pretty interesting is how we have $3.5 trillion, and Biden is now trying to push Sinema and Manchin to do the right thing. They're saying they're only concerned that the package is so big. I think it's a cover story for the fact that they don't want the taxes that are part of the package that allow the package to pass. So this is an old story. I've been over it a few times, and it hasn't changed. Lastly, in the category of protest, people are upset, including the editorial board of the Washington Post, saying the people shouldn't have been demonstrating outside Kavanaugh's home. People forget how we got here. You can't have two sets of rules. You appoint a man who is charged with basically rape on more than one occasion, taking advantage of women, and being stone cold drunk at a time when we remove a governor for inappropriately, on several occasions, touching women, apparently unconsented. We remove a governor from office. But Kavanaugh goes to the highest court in the land, despite those same accusations, despite the fact that we say we believe what women say, and I don't think that should be unquestioned. And it wasn't at the Kavanaugh hearings. So when you remove the apparent correct device, that is to deny him a seat on the Supreme Court, and then he votes to allow the Texas bill and the Mississippi bill on abortion to exist before it's been challenged in court, putting people at risk and compromising them, then you shouldn't be surprised when the people say you're not following the law and they protest at his home. And that is what happened. Do I support it? Part of me feels a little irresponsible saying it, but I'm a child of the 60s, and I believe the protest was outside. They didn't charge in his house. They didn't pull him out. They didn't threaten his life or his family. Apparently, there was no accusation that they were in any improper place. So I support it 100%. And this desperation, we're going to see more and more when the law is broken and there's no reckoning. And that's what happened with Kavanaugh. He shouldn't be on the Supreme Court. He proved the accusations right on the case of these abortion bills. And so he and the nation should not be surprised when people are protesting in the streets outside his home. You don't have to agree with me, but I think that's right. So I guess I have a list of gripes today. So be well, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.